Hello everyone, my name is Caleb and welcome once again to Grade A with Caleb. So today we are going to look at the assignment 3 in business maths. That is the final assignment for this course, okay? So it is under payroll, right? It is under payroll. So we are just going to go through and step by step see how we are going to deal with the entire question and how you are going to get your full marks also. So stay with me as I take you through it. If you have not done it yet, you can just follow me step by step. If you have done it already too, you can just compare the procedure and then you compare the answers and see how it is done. So without wasting much time, let's go into it. So we have a payroll extract, okay? Yes, from a nature of an industry or of a company, and we have personal tax allowances for each of the staff. So we have personal tax allowance of 50 Ghana cedis for each of the staff. So let's see. Right, so this is what we have been given. We have personal tax allowance of first child to be 35 cedis, allowance for second and third child to be 25 cedis each, SNET contribution 5.5, overtime rate is 2 times the regular rate. So if the person is taking 20 cedis per hour, then the overtime rate is going to be 20 times what? Times 2. Then we have our tax system, where we have up to 50 Ghana cedis is tax free. Then from 50.01 to 100 is 5%, 100.01 to 660 is 10%, and then above 660 you are paying 17.5%. And then we say that all overtime are taxed 10% flat. Right, so let's look at the first person, but before we proceed, let's note this formula. What are we looking for? The question says we should calculate for the net income of each of the employees, right? So let's first look at how to find net income, right? We say that net income is regular income, gross income minus total deductions. Then we say that gross income is equal to regular income plus overtime. And then total deductions is equal to tax plus net plus other deductions. Do you get it? So that means that if you want to find net income, first of all, we need to find gross income. And then we are saying that gross income is equal to regular income plus what? Overtime what? Income. Then that means we need to first find what? Regular income. So for the first person who is Tanny, Tanny has a regular rate of 27.5 cedis. So and then her hours work was 47 hours. Right. So if that is so, Then we all know that if a person works for more than 40 hours, then that means the rest, the excess is what? The excess hours is what? Are overtime. So here we have 40 hours for regular. So if you are calculating the regular income, then the regular income is going to be the rate, which is the 27.5 times 40, giving us 1,100 cedis. Then we come to overtime. Overtime is equal to what? Overtime rate times overtime hours. What is the overtime rate? Overtime rate is 2 times the regular rate, which is 27.5, times overtime hours worked, which is 47 hours worked minus the regular hours worked, giving us 55 times 7, which amount to 385 Ghana cedis. Are we together? Then we proceed to see our gross income is equal to 1,100 plus 385, giving us 1,485 Ghana cedis. Right. Then we are done with gross income, so we need to come to what? Total deductions. But we say that total deductions is equal to what? Tax plus SNIT plus other deduction. So first of all, let's calculate the tax, right? But then from here we realize that there is tax allowances. Then he has a number of children, right? What is the number of children? He has 3 children, right? Yes, 3 children. So if he has three children, what does it imply? It implies that he's going to get the allowance for the first child, tax allowance for the first child, tax allowance for the second, and then the third child. So he's going to get 35 cedis plus 25 plus 25 plus her own tax allowance. Now, tax allowance is different from what? Allowance, because tax allowance is not money given to you, but it's a portion of the money you are receiving, or a portion of your income that you are not going to pay what? Tax on it. So first of all, when we come to the total deduction, where we are discussing tax, we need to find what we call the taxable what? Allowance. Sorry, the taxable income, which is equal to regular income minus total tax allowance, right? Then this is equal to, what is the regular income? 1,100 minus, what will be the total tax allowance? 25 plus 25, 50 plus 35, 85 plus 50. That is going to give us what? 100 and what? 35 Ghana cedis. And this is going to give us a total tax allowance, or a tax allowance of what? 965 cedis. So we are going to use the 965 cedis to calculate for what? His tax. Look at the tax system. It's quite complicated because of this. It's nothing, okay? It just simply means that you are we have given you where it is starting from, right? You know that it's up to 50 cedis. By the time you work for these 50 cedis, you are done with it. So from that 50 cedis, you are continuing the money from 50.01, right? 50.01 to what? to 100. So 50.01, if you count 50.01 to 100, by the time you reach 100, you will have 50 cedis. Okay, and if you continue to here, by the time you count from 100.01, see, here and here is giving you 100, right? So here you are continuing from 100.01 to 660. So if you count 100.01 to 660, you are going to get 560. Now I saw some of you or a lot of people doing taking this from this or that. So you are going to get 49.99. You're also going to get 559.99 here, which if you add, or you are going to get 549.98. Sorry, 559.98, which is so wrong, because by the time you reach here, you should deduct amount of what? 660, so that whatever the excess may be, you are what? Calculating for 10%, sorry, 17.5% on it. So for this person who have a taxable income of 965, the first 50 is going to give 0, because the first 50 is what? Tax free. Are we together? The next is that you deduct this from that, giving you 915. Then you come to what? The next 50 cedis. And this is going to give you 2.5, because if you check, if you multiply 550 by what? 5%, you are going to get what? 2.5. And then if you do this deduction, you are going to get 865. And then the next is what? 560. And now this 560 is going to give you 56 Ghana cedis, because you are looking for 10% on it. Then the next is 305. Now this 305 is being what? The excess, right? So the 305 is the excess of what? The money. If you deduct, by the time you reach here, the excess or the above is what? The 305. So all you need to do is to multiply this by 17.5%, which is 0.175, right? And this is going to give you what? This is going to give you 53.38% Ghana cedis. 53.38. So now the regular tax is going to be all these amounts put together. Okay, so 53.38 plus 56 plus 2.5, and that is going to give you a total tax, regular tax of 111.88. Right? Then we move on to the overtime income. The overtime tax. Which is 10% flat on all overtime. So here we have 0.1 times. What is the overtime? The overtime is what? 385, giving you what? 38.5. Then the total tax is 111.88 plus 38.5, giving you a total tax of what? 150.38. Then you proceed to the deductions. Sorry, the next deduction, which is SNIT, right? Net is 0.055 times regular income. What is regular income? 1100. Please do not make the mistake by multiplying this percentage to the gross income. It's so wrong. Okay, so therefore we are going to get what? A net contribution of 60.50. Right, that is the net. So total deduction TD is going to be the total tax, which is 150.38 plus 60.50 plus other deduction. Did he have other deduction? Yes, other deduction of what? 500 Ghana cedis. 500 Ghana cedis, and that's going to give you a total deduction of what? A total deduction of 710.88, right? So net income will be what? The gross income, which is 1,485 minus 710.88, which is going to give you what? Which is going to give you net income of 774.12 Ghana cedis. Alright, so the next person is Muniru, right? Now, Muniru's hours worked was 58 hours. He has a rate of hourly rate of 25.5 Ghana cedis, and then number of children was what? 3, or was it 3 or 4? Right. So the regular income is 25.5 times 40, and that's going to give you what? 1020, right? So overtime is also going to be what? What is the overtime? 18 hours times 51, which is going to give you an overtime of what? 918, right? 918. So gross income is going to be 1,020 plus 918, which is going to give you plus 918, which is going to give you what? 1,938. Right? Now, regular tax is going to be what? We have to find taxable income, right? Taxable income is equal to regular income minus total tax allowance. Now, he has more than 3 children, or 3 children and above. That means he's qualified for what? Allowance for first child, second and third child, as well as what? So anyone who qualifies for all the allowances for their children and himself is going to have a total of what? 135 Ghana cedis. So the taxable income is going to be our what? Regular income 1020 minus 135 Ghana cedis, which is going to give us what? 885 cedis, right? Then we bring our 885 cedis to work for the tax. First 50 is giving us what? 0, right? And this minus this is going to give us what? 835, right? Yes, and that's going to give us another 50, next 50, which is going to give us what? 2.5, and then we do the deduction, we get 700 and what? 785, and then we have our next 560, which is giving us what? 56 Ghana cedis. And then if you take this from what you already have, we are going to get 225 times 17.5%, which is going to give us what? 39.38. Right? So our total tax is going to be the 2.5 plus 56 plus 39.28, which is going to give us what? 97.88. So regular tax is going to 97.88. And then overtime tax will be, what is the overtime? 918 times 0.1, giving us what? 91.8. And then the total tax will be equal to what? The 97.88 plus 91.80, and that's going to give us a total tax of what? That's going to give us a total tax of 189.85. Right, so now we have found our total tax. Let's go and find SNET. SNET is 5.5% of the regular income. So 0.055 times 10. Oh, sorry. So this is going to be 0.68. Okay, 0.68. So back to what we were doing. This is 5.5% of 1020, and that's going to give us what? 56.10. Right? So total deduction is going to be 189.68 plus 56.10 plus what is the other deduction? They had other deduction, right? Which is okay, there was no other deduction. Muniru has no other deduction, so that means that there is no other deduction. So the total deduction is going to be what? These two. So if you add these two, you are going to get a sum of what? 245.78. Right? Now the net income is going to be our gross income, which is 1,938 minus 245.78, giving us a total of what? 1,692.22. 1,692.22. Right. So with the others, I'm going to go a bit faster, so that because these two that I've done, I took my time to explain so that you get the fair idea of what you are doing. So the rest, I'm going to move a bit faster. Right, so we move on to the next person, Mary. Now there's one interesting fact about Mary's own, right? So we will look at it as well. Now Mary has a rate of 23.5, and then has hours work is what? 40 hours. Yes, has more than 2 children, so has 3 children. So number of children is also there. So now, to find the gross income of Mary, we first calculate overtime income, which overtime income is what? 23.5 times what? 40, giving us an income of what? 940 cedis. Now, The hours worked is 40. There is no what overtime. Why? Because the regular hours is 40, and she worked for 40 hours, meaning that there is no regular overtime income, right? If there is no overtime income, then there is no what? Overtime tax. Okay, so her gross income is equal to the regular income, which is 940 Ghana cedis. Then we proceed to look for what? The taxable income, which is 940 minus 135, giving us what? 805 Ghana cedis. So we use the 805 to look for the tax. So the first 50 give us what? 0. From that, you're going to get 765. The next 50 is also going to give us 2.5. And then you take this, you get 715. And the next 560 is going to give us what? 56 cedis. And then what you call it? The remaining is going to be what? 155. Do you get it? So times 17.5, and this is going to give you what? 27.13. 27.13. So if we should add the 56 and then the 2.5, we are going to get 85.63. 85.63. Because we have no overtime tax, right? The total tax is going to be the same as what? It's going to be the same as regular tax, which is 85.63. Then we move on to SNIT, right? That is 5.5% on what? The 940. So 0.055 times 940, and it's going to give you what? 51.70, right? So total deduction, does he have other deduction? Mary has other deduction of what? 315. So this is going to be what? 85.63 plus 51.70 plus 315, right? So 85.63 plus 315, and that's going to give you a total deduction of 452.33, right? So the net income is going to be 940 minus 452.33. And that's going to give you what? 487.67. So the next person we are dealing with is Mustafa. Now, Mustafa has a regular income of what? A regular rate of what? 27.5, has 3 children, has hours worked of what? 46. So regular income is going to be what? The regular rate of course times 40, giving us what? 1,100. And then the overtime rate is going to be 27.5 times 2. Overtime hours, this is what it is. So overtime hours is going to be what? 6 hours. And that's also going to give us 330. Therefore our gross income is going to be what? 1,100 plus 330, going to give us what 1,430. And then we come to our taxable income, that is regular income minus total tax what? Allowances. So that is 1,100. Then because he's getting all the tax allowances, he's going to get what? 135 minus what? The regular income minus 135. That is 965, and we use that to work for the tax. And this is the tax system work out, and then we are going to get a total regular income of what? 111.88. And then our overtime income is also equal to 33 because we work for what? We got 33 cities. 330 times what? So 330 times 0.1 going to give us what? 33 cities. So our total tax is going to be what? 33 plus what? 330, giving us what? 144.88. So here too, we come to SNET. As we all know, our regular income times the SNET contribution for employee, giving us what? 60.5. So total deduction is going to be 144.88 plus 60.5 plus what? 300 is what? The other deductions, and then it's going to be a total of what? 505.38. And then our gross net income is going to be our gross income minus our total deduction, which is going to give us a total of what? 924.62. Right. So okay, so the last person we are going to look at is Yao. So Yao has 25.5% regular rate, has 45 hours work, and have what? 2 number of children, right? 2 children. So the regular income is going to be 25.5 times 40, giving us what? 1020 Ghana cedis. And then the overtime is going to be 52. That is 25.5 times 2, giving us what? 52 times what? 40 minus 45 is going to give us 5, right? And that's going to give us 225 Ghana cedis. So the gross income is going to be 1020 plus 255, giving us what? 1,275. And then we calculate the taxable income. Because he has 2 number of children, he's not going to get what? The allowance for the 3rd child. So it's going to be just the 1st and the 2nd and then himself. So that's going to give us what? 1,020 minus what? 50 plus 35 plus 25, giving us what? 910. So when we move to the tax system, this is the tax system. So the first one giving us 0, the second one giving us 2.5, the next one giving us 5.6, and the last one will be left to 250. We multiply it by what? 17.5%, and then we get 43.75 Ghana cedis. So we move to the regular tax where we add all this, and then we get 102.25 Ghana cedis, and then the overtime tax is going to be 10% on 255, giving us what? 25.50, and then the total tax is going to give us 127.75. Then we move on to the SNET. The SNET is 5.5% on what? So 0.055 times 1020, giving us what? 56.1. Total deduction, we have tax, we have SNET, but we don't have other deduction for you. So we add the tax to the SNET and we get what? 183.85. And then the net income is going to be the gross income minus what? The total deduction, giving us what? 1,091.15. Okay, so these are some of the questions in it, and I believe you have solved about 5 of them. There are 2 of them remaining, following the same procedure, following the same method. I urge you to do it yourself and try and use it as examples to work on your understanding further, right? So these are just a few that are somehow tricky and I need to point them out. And then also make sure that as exams is coming, you prepare adequately, because this similar question like this is going to drop in your main exam. So if you are preparing, know that you are going to meet something like this. Okay, yes, something like this, and you should work more examples so that you will be familiar with some of them and it may not waste your time much in the exam stream. So my name is Caleb once again, and this is what I have for you today. Thank you.